Hello, 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 hello. Testing audio, testing audio, testing audio, testing audio, testing audio. All right. It works. Perfect. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being in this second live class where I'm going to teach you how to create amazing, wonderful mobile apps using a tool called Glide. Last week, I did my first class. It was great. Lots of people watch it. And I think it takes a few times to learn a new platform. And this platform Glide it's a no coding app building tool that doesn't require coding or programming, but at the same time, it requires to understand how it works. So in this class, I'm going to use this new app that I've built. It's called Quiztron. And the whole idea is that I will show you how the app works, how you can create with it assessments, like personality assessments. You can create, basically you ask a series of questions, and based on the answers, people are going to fall within one category, another category, right? So, for example, if you want to make a decision, help people make a decision as to what online teaching platform should you use, right? Then you ask a series of questions, and based on their answers, they get their most ideal recommendation, right? And in fact, one of the things that we're going to build, besides trying to analyze UFO videos, which is one of the infinite possible applications of an app like this, is to build another quiz that is going to help you choose whether you should self-host your online courses in a tool like Thinkific or Teachable, or use a platform like Udemy or Skillshare, which is a marketplace. And then based on the questions and your answers, the app is going to tell you whether you should self-host or use marketplaces. And this could be done for any other type of decision that you want to help your customers make, right? You could also do simple personality assessments as well. And yeah, you can do any kinds of assessments. Now I'm using a different streaming platform right now. It's called a Streamlabs OBS Live. And I really think it's really cool because I can change with my app the different screens. So I can go big, I can go small. I can do this, I can do this, I can turn that off. This is really neat. So I'm gonna wait until some people show up, and then we can start the class. If you have any questions, you can ask them. You can ask them in the chat. So if anybody is here, I would love to hear where you're coming from. And yeah, let's do that. So I'm just gonna make my face big now. Talking head, bang. There you go. This is so cool. Technology is amazing. So yeah, any questions you have, please ask them in the chat, and I will make my best effort to answer them. All right, I wonder if I'm in the right chat here. Okay, just making sure that people are here. If you, oh, there you go, perfect. Thank you, Don Reg. Hello, Don Reg. Thanks for being here. Again, that's perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit more for more people to show up. Hey, greetings from Belgium and Colombia. I know who is this person. This person was here last week. Thanks for showing up again. I think you're really gonna like this app. So it's similar to Quiz app, where Quiz app was just to do typical quizzes. You know, it's you have between 2 and 5 different possible answers, and then the quiz is just gonna tell you whether you get them right or not. This app will aggregate all your answers and then give you a possible bucket where you fall in. So I guess the simplest way to do that is I have here a simple test By the way, you can test this app already. You can test it at this link. Johnny Zero, yes. Will the Glide apps work on web pages as well on mobile devices? Definitely. And in fact, I just sent you the link for this app, which works on a website, as you can see. I'm going to share my screen. There you go. So if you go to the link that I just shared, you will have exactly the app that I'm going to be demoing for this workshop. Hello from San Antonio, John. Hello, thanks for being here. Yeah, so if you go to the link that I just shared, that will allow you to access the app that I'm going to share how it works. And you can install that in your phone as a shortcut on your home screen. Whether you have an Android phone or an iPhone, it will work perfectly. Now, very important to know, I think I should explain this to people that are not familiar with Glide. Glide allows you to build no-code mobile apps without coding. They work on both the desktop, Android, and iPhones. Now, they're not native apps, so a little people get confused. It's not a native app that you upload to the App Store. It doesn't happen that way. This is kind of like a new way of building apps that it has more flexibility because you don't have to go through the approval of the App Store or the Google Play Store, and at the same time, they're easier to deploy, cheaper to deploy, and they work in all devices now. So I'm not going to go more into the details of it because you can go to glideapps.com and learn more about it. But basically, to me, it's one of the fastest, cheapest, most efficient way of developing mobile apps. And you're going to see now a demonstration of what kind of apps you can build. This was all built by scratch by me. And in fact, if I go to the administrator panel here, you'll be able to see the app itself. And here is where you design the app, right? And the app is actually functional within the app editor, and I could change anything here. So all of these are components that are customizable, and you can change the look, you can change the functionality, you can change the logic. But before we go into the nuts and bolts of how this app works, I'm going to show you, well, the app in action, right? So right now this app, okay, quick question. Why do we need to enter a PIN? So yeah, that's a great question. This is how Glide works. Instead of you creating accounts with a username and password, the way that Glide authenticates users is by entering your email, and then a PIN is sent to your email address, and then you have to enter that PIN in order to log into the app. So this is how they've chosen to do that in Glide. And I guess the advantage is that you never have to remember your password, because every time you get a unique PIN, at the same time, it means that you always have to enter a unique PIN every time you want to log in. So there's pros and cons. But I mean, at the end of the day, the functionality is the same. It's just a way to secure that you are the right person and nobody else can access your account, right? Yeah, so Johnny Sayer asks, so it works on a web page, but it still emulates the look and feel of a mobile app? Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Now, on a website, if you want it to look like a website, you can do that too, but you would need a pro account to do that, right? Actually, I'm going to do that right now because I have a pro app here. So this is the user interface of all your apps. If I go here to my premium app, which is called Voice, let me just go here and open that. When you are in a pro account, you can go to settings, and here you can enable tablet mode, which means that if I open this app, I can click the show full screen button, and you can see now this app takes the entire desktop, right? So again, that's how you still can do that, no problem with Glide if you have a pro account. And the pro account, it starts at, I think, like $12 a month. Now let me go back to Quiztron demo. And if you have any other questions, just make sure that you answer. This is why we have a live class, so we can interact and I can answer any questions that you have about how to build apps with Glide. So again, we're back again. So if you're gonna start with a free account with Glide. If you want the ability to show your app in desktop mode, then you will have to choose a plan. I would choose a yearly plan because you save 25%. And then for $9 a month, okay, no, sorry. To be able to use the web layout, it seems you have to get a pro account, which is $24 a month. And then that will give you a lot more data and the ability to display your mobile app basically as a website, right? But to start, you have 500 data a row, 100 megabytes of file storage. For most apps, that's enough to get started and to even start creating an app where you're collecting money and monetizing it, right? But we can go into more of those details later on. Now let me show you how this app works, because I think it's a great case study of what's possible to build with an app like with Glide. Okay, so let's go back to Quiztron. And in this case, there's only one quiz or test. This could be, again, a personality assessment. It could be a decision-making tool to help people make decisions or to assess anything. In this case, just for fun, I chose UFOs just because lately, if you've followed any of the news, there has been a lot of talk about UFOs, specifically in the United States, because there's been several sightings that have been leaked and officially acknowledged by the US military, which is kind of like unprecedented. So it's kind of like a big deal. Now, my argument is that even though these videos have been leaked, the actual evidence, which to us is just these videos, is not that compelling. So even if they've approved, as they said, we don't know what it is, still these videos don't show the characteristics which are required to be considered a true UFO in the sense of something that is not explainable. And we're going to go into more detail in a bit. But anyways, this app, the way it works is you click on the actual quiz and then you can start the quiz. In this moment, there's only 6 questions, but we're going to customize it to make it more of a compelling quiz. And then we're going to build another quiz to help you make other types of decisions that maybe are more useful than UFOs, okay? Can that column line on the page, for example, center, and can that header or the page elements be added? So I'm reading questions. If you are on YouTube, you'll see the questions popping up. In this case, Johnny Zero is asking, when it takes the whole web page, can that column of content be aligned on the page? No. You cannot change the look of the column. This is one of the advantages and disadvantages of Glide. One of the advantages is that you don't have to worry about how things look, and they already made sure that by default your apps look very good. And the reason why is because 99% of developers are not good designers. And if you are trying to make your app look good, that means you have to be a designer, and that's going to take you a long time. And Glide is about developing apps fast. Now, the moment that you have the ability to choose how things look in terms of fine detail, then you're going to waste a lot of time. And by default, you can change the look of your app, and it's very simple, but you're restricted to only certain limitations. For example, if I go here to settings and I go to appearance, you'll see I can change the look really quickly like this. I want to emphasize that making these changes with code would take several hours or days. Here I'm changing the entire look of the app literally with one click. Okay, so you can change that. Now you cannot change how these components are aligned, for example. So that fine tuning doesn't exist, but the overall look of the app can be changed within seconds. Okay. Let's go back to the app itself. And now, okay, let's do a quiz. Okay, let's do a quiz to show how this thing works. And you see, I'm actually super proud of this app because the logic behind it is quite clever. I want to sell my photos and videos. Yes, you can do that. You can sell stuff like that. If you go to last week LiveStream, you'll be able to see how I implemented a buy button. Or if you look in my channel, there's other tutorials on how to use Glide, where I show how the ability to charge through the app is very easy through their Stripe integration as well. Okay. Regarding the pin, if I use another device, it asks me to enter another pin, right? And if so, will my progress start from scratch once again? Yes, yes. If now you open a different device, then you're basically reopening the account, and it's not going to remember what. I mean, if you were in the middle of, excuse me, if you were in the middle of a quiz, it won't be able to remember where you were originally. Now, these are a lot of edge cases. I mean, for 90% of the time, once you start a quiz, you're not going to switch devices. And, oh, let me keep doing the quiz in a different device. You could program that it would save your last states. Now, we're getting here into the weeds in terms of adding functionality, right? But we're going to start with the basics. Again, so in this case, let's start this quiz so you understand how it works. And basically start the quiz. And of course, I have to enter the PIN. So I'm going to enter the PIN. I have to log into my own app. And I have to open this. And now, let me just delete this. I have to refresh this. Sometimes it takes longer. Actually, I could take the quiz within the editor as well. In fact, that's another thing. You know, now this is the live version of the app, but within the editor, I can also start taking the quiz, right? That's another thing. I could go here and test the entire app from here. So let's start the quiz. Is the photo in sharp focus? Yes. Yeah. Is the photo in color? Were there multiple witnesses? Are there more photos of the same event? Let's say no. Did you see any visible means of propulsion? No. Okay. So this is, okay. There you go. Let me just change here. And then at the end, it gives you the results. I don't know why it went blank now. Let me just enter my PIN here. Okay, there it is. Let me just copy this PIN here, sign in with the PIN, and let's try to take the quiz again. Here, it shows that I already took the quiz once. In fact, if you go to the link, you can start taking the quiz yourself, and it'll be interesting to see how it handles multiple users at the same time. So what I'm going to do is copy the link so you can take this quiz yourself. So if you look in the chat box on the YouTube player on the right hand side, you'll be able to see the link to this same quiz. Why don't you try to take it, and then the results will appear here in the bottom, right? Right now I just took the quiz, and if I click here on the results, you can see that the quiz has 6 questions, that it took 16 seconds to take this quiz, that I did 1 attempt, and that the likelihood of this assessment that I actually witnessed a UFO is 83%, so most likely it was. And then I can see here a summary of all my answers as well. Okay, so I said yes to this, yes, no. You can click in the actual answer or question, and here there could be an explanation saying, you know, why this question is important or anything that you want to. And something I really like is that it will also give you the stats of, this is kind of like a survey in a sense. It gives you the stats of what people have been answering for this question. So in a sense, you could use this app also to run surveys, because if let's say it only has 1 question, then you'll be able to see how many people have answered either yes, no, or maybe, or whatever it is, right? Right now, I'm just using it to show you how to create an assessment. And that's just how it works. It's quite straightforward, right? We can try to, okay, so somebody took the quiz. Now you see that the name has been obfuscated, right? Okay, let me go back here. The name has been obfuscated, so somebody has taken the quiz. Let's see what the results were. Okay, and we can see these users' results. Again, I encourage you to go to the link, take the quiz. You'll get a sense of what it takes, how the app works and how Glide works as well. You can also install this on your Android if you want to as well, or iPhone phone, to see how it looks, right? Why does the quiz ask for an email address? Well, in order to save your score, it needs to have an account, right? Now, on the free version of Glide, actually the emails get obfuscated. So I'm not collecting any data, because if I go here to the database, now remember that the way that Glide works is that it's basically adding a mobile user interface to a Google Sheet. So if I go to the Google Sheet that is associated with this app, you simply click on data, and I'm going to open the Google Sheet. You'll be able to see that there is a user table, right? And here we can see we have 3 new users, and the email addresses, if I open this bigger, they actually been obfuscated. So although you've logged in with your real user, your real email, my app has obfuscated that email, which means I have no idea who you are, right? And this is something that you can only change on the premium version of Glide. So yeah, I encourage you to log in. The new users will appear here in live, and then we'll be able to see the score. So now another person took this quiz. I have no idea who it was, and you will know yourself, I guess, because you could always click on your profile. The moment you log in, there's also a tab called profile, and then in here you could actually enter your real email address and picture if you wanted to, right? So let me go back to quizzes. So another person took the quiz, and you can see now people are taking the quiz in real time and getting their assessment results in real time. So you could use this to send to your audience, to survey them, or to help them make decisions. Again, this was all built from scratch without coding using Glide. Okay. In this case, this app also has an administrator only screen that I can go here. So I go to the admin. I only can see this. You guys won't be able to see this. So if you were the owners of this app, you will have your own administrator account, and you could see everybody's results aggregated in your app. Not only that, if you charge for these quizzes, you would see all your sales here. Here I have 3 fake sales just to show, but in this here, you'll be able to see some stats like how many users. Now we have 10 users, and how many quizzes are available, 1, and the total sales and the total revenue that this app has generated, and then a list of the recent scores. So I can see all the recent scores who's been taking this quiz. In this case, Dan. Okay, Dan, you've changed your profile. There you go. So now we know you're a real human being, not a robot, and you've taken the quiz. And of course, it's been already updated, and you've updated your profile. You've been able to do this all live. I mean, this is really cool. We're doing this live. I didn't think about this, that you guys could really interact live while I'm doing this. What's the Glide site? That's glideapps.com. You just go here to glideapps.com. You can open an account right now for free. Just go here. So the pro version builds an email list for you. I'm not sure. No one is going to build an email list for you. You have to, if you want to collect email addresses, you have to have an audience and a way of promoting your app. And then if you have the pro version, whoever subscribes with their real email address, that would appear on your Google Sheet. And then you could add that to say email marketing software. If you pay for the pro version, only one app can go pro. Now, interestingly enough, let me just show you again all my apps. So I have here maybe like 50 different apps. I only have one pro app. But let's say that you want to demote one app, make it free again, a free account, and you want to upgrade another one. You don't have to pay again because you already paid for your pro account. So basically you demote one app and then you can use that pro account and put it into another app. I'm going to show you how that works because that's quite interesting. Well, let's say that I go to my pro app, which I only have one right now. So I paid for one entire year for this app. Now you can always go to settings, and if I go to billing, you see it says pro plan here. I can simply change this to personal and then I wouldn't lose my money. I have kind of credits for it, right? And then once this is demoted, I could go back to any other app, right? And I could change the plan to pro, and it's available because I've already paid for it. So basically, your pro plan only applies to an individual app, but you can decide which app it becomes pro at any given time. Okay, let me just go back to Quiztron demo. Okay, thank you for doing this. Jacob, ¿cómo estás, amigo? Thanks for being here. It's awesome to see recognizable group of followers here. Again, so if you started late, then I'm just showing people how Glide works to build apps without code. I'm using as an example an assessment app. People are already taking this, using this app in real time. And again, you can at any given time try this app yourself. I've just posted the link again on the chat, and you can access this very same app on your phone or your desktop. You can install it, you can play with it, you can start taking quizzes yourself. All right, and we have 3 people have taken this quiz, and I would love to see more people taking this quiz. In fact, eventually we'll be able to see how far we can push this. How many simultaneous users can we have on an app, and see whether it's true that Glide can handle instead in theory thousands of simultaneous connections to an app, right? Okay, so now the big question is here is how did I build this app? Okay, so the first thing that I did was I created a Google Sheet. Let's call this Google Sheet Quiztron demo. I created a bunch of tables. Okay. I created a bunch of tables, and then I connected this Google Sheet with Glide. And the way you do that is when you log in into Glide, you can click the new app button, and it's going to ask you, let's say continue, it's going to ask you to select a Google Sheet or do everything within Glide. Now, the second version is not very developed, so most of the time you want to start with a Google Sheet. You click here, you click continue, and that will automatically create a bare bones version of the mobile app, which is fully functional. You can really start sharing from the beginning, right? And then what you would do once you have that, like the scaffolding of your app, you could start customizing it within the Glide editor, which is basically what I'm going to do right now. So let's go back to the demo of the assessment app. And here, basically what we're seeing here is a representation, visual representation, mobile friendly visual representation of all the data here. So for example, I have a table called quizzes, and there's only one quiz. So you can see here, there's only one quiz, right? Now all the data associated with that quiz, which in this case is the title and the description, are also here, right? So we have the title, the description, we have an image, and then we have a lot more data. All the other columns are basically how I've created the logic for this to work, right? And I can go into the logic so you understand how you can build complex logic that allows to do all kinds of workflows and functionality within your app. Okay, let me see if there is any questions. If you pay blah, blah, blah. What is the Glide bits? Okay, so anyways, if you have any questions, keep asking them on the chat. I'll get to them as soon as I can. All right, so let's talk about the logic behind this. First of all, let's have a little tour of the user interface. So This app has been automatically created from a Google Sheet, this Google Sheet. When you land in here, on the left-hand side, you have an area which are the tabs. So the tabs are these things at the bottom. So right now there's two enabled tabs, quizzes and profile. And you can see here, quizzes and profile are enabled here. I can at any moment turn them on or off. So with the little I button, if you look at the button, you can see how they disappear. I can rearrange them and I can drag them inside a different area. So there's two places where the tabs can appear. One is at the bottom and one is under this sandwich menu. So here we have three tabs. These two, about and sign out, are system tabs. They're always there. But these three tabs are actually tabs that are tables within my Google Sheet. So the admin screen here actually corresponds to a table called admin, right? So every tab, this is very important to understand, every tab here really correlates to a Google Sheet, a table, right? So you see all these different tabs at the bottom, all of those can be either tabs at the bottom of my screen here or part of this menu, okay? And then you can select here, you can obviously edit the name of the tab. Here we have a tab with all the users. And the reason why I can see all the users is because on the right-hand side, I'm selecting which of my tables on my Google Sheet this data is coming from. Okay. Let's go back to the main quiz screen. Now you can see, pay attention to the left-hand side here. This is where all the components that make up every screen are there. So right now on this main screen, there's only one component. It's called the inline list. I can click on it. The moment I click on any component, you can see on the right-hand side, that component settings, which means now I can edit the look of this component. I could simply, for example, change its look, its style by clicking here. Right now it's on tiles. I could change it to list. And you see how I'm very easily changing the design of that screen. Now let's go back to the original one. You always can click the undo button and go back to the original design, right? Now, look at what's gonna happen here on the screen when I click on this area. I'm gonna click right now. Ready? Go. You see what happened here? These screens, all the components that make up this screen appeared here. All of these are editable. I can delete them. Let me delete this component, which is the title component. Boom, it's gone. Now I can go back and it appears. Now, if I want to change that component settings, I click on the component, and then now on the right-hand side, I can change the look of the component or where the data that this component is pulling is coming from, right? So if I want to change the design, every component is going to have different settings, but I can go here and make it like a circle, or I can make it more like a rounded corner square, or I can make it the screen, the image to take the entire screen. So this happens with any component. Let me go to this text entry. Not that in this case. Let me go to, you can also use this button here. Oh, you cannot see it because my face is in the middle of the button, but I can turn my face off. And you can see here, there are two buttons. One is called the play mode button, which allows you to click anywhere, like if you were using the actual app. Or you have the select mode, which allows you to select any component. And then once you select the component, you'll be able to edit that component. So let me, for example, select this description text here. The moment I select it, you can see here it's been selected under the components. And on the right-hand side, I can select or change the settings of this component. In this case, this component is pulling data from the description column, right? And I can select which column this data is coming from. Now, all of these columns correspond to my Google Sheet. So if I go here to quizzes, you can see all of these columns are actually the columns that you see here, right? So now I could say, for example, I want to pull the data for this component from the column called image. And then I would get that, right? And that's how you select which data each component has. All right. And that's it. This is how you build your screens. You can add, remove, rearrange components. Let's say I want to rearrange this text here. This text, so let me select the text. I select it. Let's say I want to move this up. Okay, very simple. I drag and drop this component. Let me see. Let's see under the title. Boom. And now it's been updated. Oh, I don't like it. Well, just click the undo button and it goes back to where it was. So you can see I'm just dragging and dropping. There is zero programming. Question. How many quizzes can you create with Quiztron? You can create unlimited quizzes because all the quizzes are simply stored under this table quizzes. So basically, it's like adding rows to a sheet. So there's no limitation as to how many quizzes you can create. Now, let's say you want to charge for quizzes and you want to give people the ability to take, let's say, 3 quizzes for free. You could program that in the logic. Let me turn my face up. Right? So let's say that is something you decide as the creator of this app. You can decide whether you want to charge for your quizzes, whether you want to make them free, or you want to have like a freemium version where you have, let's say, 3 free quizzes, and after the 3rd quiz you charge. In fact, I just built an application for a client where that's exactly they wanted. They wanted to be ability to offer X amount of free quizzes and then charge for it. I don't know if I have it here. In this case, if I go to admin, yeah, that setting is not here, but that's something that I've programmed in other versions of this app, which actually I could do that. This is one of the great things. You could either program yourself, or I could do upgrade this and have the ability of people to either charge per quiz. In this case, I'm charging per quiz. So let's say I wanted to charge for this quiz. Very simple. As the administrator, I can click on the edit button, and now I can set a price. Right? So let's say I want to charge $49 for people to find out if they really saw a UFO or not. Okay, so I click done. And now the button has gone from start the quiz for free to you need to buy the quiz in order to take it. 49 bucks. And this is fully functional right now. In fact, look how simple it was. Now I can click on the button, and this is already connected with Stripe, and I can start charging right away from the app. Now think about the possibilities here. This buy button could be associated to absolutely anything you wanted. Quizzes, physical products, digital products, videos, courses, whatever you want to sell, you can simply put a buy button, and then the moment somebody makes the purchase, you would get a notification via Stripe, or you would see a new sale showing up inside your Glide app, right? So in fact, if I go here to the Google Sheet, all the sales get stored under this table. So here I have 3 fake sales, and anytime somebody buys your product using the Stripe integration inside your Glide app, those sales immediately appear here, right? And now you can decide what you do with this. You can create an automation that automatically gives them access to your course or to your app. You could create an automation with Zapier integration that sends them a notification and thank you email, or a link to download a digital product, or whatever you want to do. But all the sales get stored here. Can I transfer my Don Greg asks, can I transfer my electronic newsletter into the Glide app? So I guess you could do something like that, but it's not, I mean, Glide app is not designed to run newsletters. For that, you would use something like ConvertKit or MailChimp or something like that, right? I mean, in a sense, you could use your app to collect email addresses, because maybe you're creating like a lead magnet or some kind of quiz. I mean, quizzes are actually great for lead generation. They have one of the highest conversion rates of any lead generation tool because they're very interactive and people want to finish the quiz in order to get the result. And a technique that is used traditionally many times is that before they get the results of the quiz, they have to enter their email address. So you could also program that within your app. You could say that before showing the results, collect the email address, and that could be used for lead generation. Now, once you have your email addresses, you wouldn't use Glide to create newsletters and email sequences, because I mean that would take a lot of programming. I think you may be able to do it, but you would have to. It wouldn't be worth it. For that. You would want to use an established platform like ConvertKit or MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. But again, you could use your app to collect email addresses for lead generation. And that's one of the things I actually plan to do with some of these apps, which is let people use the app for free. And at the same time, if they want to get results, I could use this to collect email addresses. Now let's go back to the actual quiz. I can edit the quiz. I only can edit the quiz because I'm the administrator. So I'm going to say that it's free again. So basically I delete this and I click done. And now it's remembered that I've taken the quiz, so I can retake the quiz again. La, 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 la. I take with the quiz and I get the results again. In this case, it's not a UFO. All right. And that is how it works. Another person took the quiz, labored friends, 048. Oh, then you put your picture there. Thank you very much. Let me see. Oh wow, this changed. I was messing with the app, obviously. So you can see I rearranged the tabs here. If you want to rearrange the tabs, all you have to do is simply drag the tab to whatever you want to, and now it changes the order. Now you saw that any changes that I do here within a few seconds, they actually reflect to all the users. So let's say that I have 10,000 users right now. Whatever you change here, it automatically gets pushed to all users. So upgrades to your app are actually instantaneous. Now, try to do that with a native app. It doesn't happen that way. You do a change, now you have to submit your app again to the App Store. It has to get approved, and it's a process that could take 24 hours, 48 hours, couple of days. So if you want to do changes that are deployed immediately to your entire user base, Glide is actually a great tool to do that, because anything that I change here immediately will be reflected to all the users that are using this app. This is something, again, that you cannot do with native apps, and that's why I really like it. Again, let me see. Questions. All right. Okay, so let me show you another thing. Well, let me show you how the actual logic behind this app works. First from the administrator side, and then from what would be the app creation side. So if you're an administrator and you want to create a new quiz or edit a new quiz, you just click the edit button. And here on the quiz, you have the quiz title, the description. And here is where some of the magic starts happening. Now, on an assessment, you want to put people into different buckets. Or at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is collect all the answers from that specific user. And then based on those answers, decide what bucket they fall into, right? So a traditional quiz, it just tells you whether you got the answer or the question right or wrong. On an assessment, the difference is that it's not about getting things right or wrong, it's about helping people make decisions. Can you archive your apps? All your apps are here always. So whatever apps that you create, by the way, there is no limitation of how many apps you can create for free, right? And another thing is that if you don't want to start from scratch, what I highly recommend to do, actually, you can access that here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of your free account, you'll be able to see that you can start with a template. So if there's an, let's say you want to create a task management app, well, you can just click on a free template, in this case tasks, and that would automatically create a copy of that template. So now it's trying to create a copy of the template. Let's see if it works or not. Oh yeah. And it's done. Not only that, it's already published this. So within one click, I've created a template that is already published. And let me just click here. This is the app. You see how long it took me to create a new app? Basically one click. So, and not only that, I can share this app already. And there you go. I just created an app with one click, a task tracker. Obviously, what you would want to do is edit this. So now let's say that you used an existing template because you don't want to start from scratch. Well, I just did it. I click a button. I have a template. Now I can change the functionality and look of this template in seconds. I just, for example, let's say I want to change the look of the first screen. I just click on the component that makes this screen, and automatically, well, I can just click on any button. Let's say I want this to be tiles or cards, right? Let's say that I want to change the image of that. Well, then I could open the Google Sheet associated with this, which is always available here. Or you can use within the data editor here, I could change the image, right? I have this image here, or this. Actually, this is my task tracker. Oh, no, sorry. This is the one that came with that. Yeah. So you can change any of the contents right from here or the Google Sheet, okay? But again, just to reiterate my last point, if you don't want to start from scratch, you can always use an existing template, either these 5 available, or you can click on View All, and that will take you to the Google Glide Marketplace, template marketplace. And you here have like a couple thousand different templates that you should use so you don't have to start from scratch, including my templates, which I sell 2 templates here under education. So that's another thing. If you want to monetize your apps by selling your own templates, let's say you become very good at creating apps and you're like, you know what, I think other people could benefit from this app. Well, you may as well make it available into the Glide store and generate sales. So here you can see this app for $49.99. This is an app that I've created that I'm currently selling through the Glide store. And the same thing with Quiz App. You can buy this app. The Glide keeps a commission, the 30% commission for every sale. So I don't keep the entire amount. But at the same time, my app gets a lot of exposure. And this allows me to monetize my effort, right? So this is a great option for developers. So if you create a bunch of apps at any given time, you can sell your app. And the way you do that is actually super simple. The way you sell your app, you go to any app. Okay, let's go to Quiztron demo, the one that we're working in today. Let's say I want to sell this app. I'm like, you know what? This is such an amazing app. I think the whole world should have this app. I want to charge for it, or you can make it available for free. It's up to you. So you click on settings and then you go to a template and you say sell template. Then you click submit template. Here you say some details, a demo of the video, which category it belongs to, whatever. And here you select the price. You can go all the way from $4.99 to up to $1,000. Now, to charge $1,000 for an app, it better be freaking amazing. But the most apps are between $9 and $49.99. I think $49.99 for an app that provides a lot of value, it's a good price. It's affordable because you own the app outright, and you can do anything with it. And it's a great way of monetizing your effort. And again, it takes a few seconds to submit it to the template store. Now it has to go through an approval process. Obviously, Glide is not gonna accept any type of app. They want to make sure that it's properly built and provides value, and that so there's a possibility for it to be sold. And once it gets approved, which is something it could take between 2 days to a week to get your template approved, then you would start getting sales through their marketplace. Okay, and again, you can create unlimited apps. They're all stored here forever. So there's not such a concept as archiving apps. Simply they all appear here. All your apps will always be saved here. And let's say if you want to duplicate an app because you're like, okay, let me create a new version of one of my apps, which actually something I recommend is a way of doing kind of version control, right? Once you've done a lot of work in one app and you want to create a new app, instead of messing with the existing app, what I recommend is that you simply click here on the three dots and then you say duplicate, and that would create a copy of that existing app, and then you can play with that app without messing with the original app, which is exactly what I've done for this workshop. The actual app that I've been creating is called Quiztron version 1, and simply I created a copy of it so I can play with it. And if I screw up this app, it doesn't matter because I already made a kind of like a backup of the original app, right? So I don't care if I delete stuff here or you know, like I could delete this right now. Okay, so let's delete this. Boom. Doesn't matter because I still have created a backup version of this. Only Google Sheets are usable. That's a great question. And right now, Google Sheets, there's two ways you can store data inside your Google, inside your Glide app. Once, and the highly most recommended, is Google Sheets because that's the most developed one. The second one, if I go back here to my apps, is using Glide tables. So Glide tables doesn't relay. My English is really bad today. So if you use Glide tables, then you don't need a Google Sheet. The advantage of Glide tables is that it's a lot faster because it doesn't have to synchronize Glide's database with Google Sheets, right? So the way now with Google Sheets it works is that the data is stored in both places, at Google servers, and then it creates a copy on Glide database or servers. And there's a little bit of delay sometimes in updating data. So let's say that I update anything on, let's do an example so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go to my to the Quiztron demo, and I'm going to update something inside the Google Sheet so you see how long it takes to update on the actual app. So the quiz is called, did you see a UFO? Okay. I'm gonna change this to Hola, soy Miguel. All right, I changed the title, but that's already saved here. If I go here, this should change, but it hasn't changed because there's a slight delay between the Google Sheet and the app. Now, if I want to force this change, I click here and I click on the little arrow, and that's going to now force the synchronization. Now, this delay doesn't happen if you're using Glide native database. The problem with Glide's native database is that it's not as it lacks certain functionality. So if you want to do some complex stuff, then they're working on it. I think by the end of the year, their goal is for you to help you build apps just using Glide alone without having to rely on any Google Sheets. And at the same time, they will allow you to use other data sources like MySQL, Access, Firebase, Amazon services, but that's coming up in a few months. Okay. When you sell your course app in Glide Marketplace, you are selling the template. No, you're just selling the template, because if there were any courses inside it, because they have access to the Google Sheet, you're basically giving them access to all your courses with the template. So if you're creating a template, just focus on selling the template, not the content inside the template, because unless that's part of the deal. Maybe you're like, if you buy my template, you also get the courses. Because they will get access to all the courses. Just remember that once they have the template, they also have access to the Google Sheet, and the Google Sheet is where you have all your data. So it's up to you, but most likely people don't want to buy an app that has content. They want to put their own content inside. Okay, that's why they're buying the app, so they can sell their own content. If you want to sell your courses, you wouldn't sell your template. You would just give people a link to that to your app, and then you would charge for whatever content you want to. No, Google doesn't own Glide. They're completely different companies. Now, maybe in the future they get I wouldn't be surprised to get an acquisition offer, because although Google has a competitor to Glide, which is called AppSheet. AppSheet it's not that good, right? So yeah, maybe eventually they merge. Although I talked to Glide CEO and they're not interested in being acquired at this moment. But who knows what happens? But they're separate companies. Google and Glide are separate companies. Okay. So what can I teach you right now? We are okay, an hour. Sorry, an hour, almost an hour. Okay, let's just do a little bit more. Show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of this app. And then we can do another. If you guys, I can keep doing these classes because there's really a lot of possibilities with Glide, and I think these live classes are great for you to interact with me and to answer any questions that you may have in real time. Now let's create a assessment from scratch, so you see how this app works. Let's go, and I'm gonna create an assessment from scratch. So what you would do is just click on the plus button. I could give the assessment an image, right? And I'm gonna call it, should I use Thinkific or Udemy? This is a very typical question. People are like, where should I sell my courses? On Thinkific or on Udemy or something like that. There's other options, but let's say that you're not sure whether to use a marketplace or self-host. I'll help you choose the right platform to sell online courses. Okay. Okay, so now there's only two possibilities. It's either going to be Thinkific, so a result Thinkific, or Udemy. And now, based on the answers, we're going to tell people whether they should choose one or the other. Okay. Now there could be other options like Skillshare or whatever, you know. But right now, this is a binary decision, right? But there's up to 5 possible choices that people could be given a recommendation on, right? Time limits. I'm gonna let people take this quiz as many times as they want to. Let me just take that. Time limit. There's no time limit in this case. Price is going to be a free quiz, which in fact you're gonna be able to take for free as soon as I finish this. And enable coupons. If I was selling this, I want to offer discounts, right? So again, and I'm gonna choose an image. I'm gonna go to pexels.com and I'm gonna choose school. Just I want to make sure that this looks pretty, no? So let me see. One is school image or studying. I don't know what to choose here. Choosing images is always kind of tricky. Anyway, I'm gonna choose this one. No, maybe without people, just books. Books. Let's see, books. Books. Never mind. I don't like any of the pictures here. I'm just gonna select this picture. Download the picture. Now, here, the reason why I'm doing this in real time, although it doesn't seem very efficient, is because it's in the details where people get stuck. And this is why doing a class live shows you where you can get stuck. Now, if you're creating your own app, most likely you're going to be using stock images. So what I'm teaching you here is that there are free websites that allow you to get free stock images. One of them is called pexels.com. The other one is called pixabay.com. Now, when you download the image, there's several options. You can download up to 6,000 pixels, a huge file, or something smaller. If you're going to use these images inside your app, you want to make sure the image is as small as possible because it takes time to load these images. And if you have a very large image and people are trying to download it with their cellular network, it's going to make your app super slow. So what you want to do is download small and optimized images for your app. So I'm choosing the smallest one. I'm gonna just click free download, and this downloads the image. And I'm going to go here to YouTube Quiztron images, and I'm gonna call this school.o1.jpg. So I downloaded the image, and now I can go back to my app here, not here, but here, and I can select the image, and I'm gonna upload this is basically the quiz image. I click add, and now it asks me to start adding questions automatically. I could do this later, but let's say right now. Okay, so question number 1. We're helping people to decide between Thinkific, option A, and Udemy, option B. So the first question I would ask is like, I don't know, do you like to do your own marketing? And I could say here, give some details or context about the question. We're not going to do that right now. We could even add an image if we wanted. And now we have to decide how this correlates. So if they say yes, that means that they like to do their own marketing. Now this is where you have to know, how to create the quiz. But in my case, if you like to do your own marketing, Thinkific is a better option, which is A. Now you see how I'm correlating answers to results. This is the whole magic. And this is, again, all created from scratch using Live. So if for the first question, they say yes, then I'm correlating the result to A, which A is Thinkific, B is Udemy. So if they say B, no, I'm correlating that to result B. Okay, and let's say I'm done already. I'm gonna go like this, submit, and I'm done. Let's say I just want to do a very, very, very simple assessment. Now this is already fully functional. Look what happens. Let's see if it works. I click on the quiz, I start the quiz, and there's only one question. Do you like to do your own marketing? If I say yes, it should correlate to Thinkific. If I say no, it should say Udemy. Let's see if that works. I click yes. And guess what happens? Thinkific. Right? How amazing is this? But obviously, you probably want to ask more questions. I mean, in fact, this could be a survey in itself, because if I go here to the answers, it's telling me that 100%, in this case, only me, has chosen that answer. It says yes, that I like to do my own marketing. And I encourage you to go right now. Can I see this live presentation again? Yes, this is actually interesting for you to know. Any live stream that happens on YouTube gets automatically recorded in the same YouTube page. So the same YouTube page you're right now, when I stop doing this live stream, it will actually become the recorded version of the entire class. Okay? So the same link that you are right now is actually going to be the link of the recording of this class. So YouTube makes it very, very simple. Now let's say I want to add a second question. So let me just go back to the quiz. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to go back down, and I'm going to add another question. What question should we ask here? To make sure. Is Thinkific or Udemy? So what's an advantage of Udemy? Advantage of Udemy is they have their own. So let's say, do you have an audience? Do you have an existing audience? Okay. If they say yes, that means that Thinkific is a better option, because that means you already have an existing audience to sell your courses. If you say no, probably Udemy is a better option, because Udemy has the audience for you, but they keep a commission for exposing you to their audience. So that would correlate to B. I don't know if this makes sense, but basically for every answer, there has to be some kind of correlation, because then I'm aggregating those answers to give you the best possible recommendation, right? So I click submit, right? And now we have two questions. I could go back. So I click done. I could go back and take the quiz. Now there's two questions. Do you like to do your own marketing? Now let's say I don't like to do my own marketing and I don't have an existing audience. That means Udemy should be my recommendation. Let's see if that's true. Oh no, it said Thinkific. Oh my goodness. So I did something wrong. This is what happens when we do live stuff. Let me just see here on the results. So I've taken this quiz twice. And how about when you have multiple correct options? Oh yeah, that's also not an issue, because what you would do is you correlate that answer to the same result. In fact, we can do this again, right? Let me just go to the second question here. Do you have an existing audience? And if I say yes, that correlates to result A. And if I say no, it correlates to result B. But let's say I have another question. I'm not sure, or something like that. So this could correlate to anything you want to. In this case, there's only two options, Udemy and Thinkific, but it could correlate to something like right or wrong. So you could have several questions correlating to the same possible result, which could be either a binary result or several results, or it could be a right or wrong result. So here I could say, okay, if you're not sure, you probably should go with Udemy. Okay, Udemy again is option B. All right. Okay, so that should be saved already. And you can always go back to the actual quiz and select what are the correlations so you don't forget, right? I could even add a third correlation, which is Skillshare, right? And then I will have to decide. I click done. Now there's a third possible option. I could go back to any of my questions and change the correlation or add another question, right? I could say, okay, if you like to do your own marketing, Thinkific should be the best. If you don't, if you say no, or I'm not sure, then I'm not sure, it could be result C, right? Or something like that. And let me just save this. So obviously all the variations are possible here. That should be saved. Okay. And if I retake the quiz, let's try I'm not sure, I'm sure. And in this case, the results are different because I added a new version, a new option, a new possible result, which in this case is called Skillshare. Now, obviously, the more questions you ask, the results will give you a more accurate possible result. So if you want to run something as simple as a survey, you only need one question. If you want to create a more comprehensive, let's say, personality test, the more questions that you have, the more accuracy the results will provide. So to give you an example, in the UFO quiz, I have 6 questions, but for example, there's other questions that I could ask, right? So let's just another question, no? That is, let's another question. So UFOs, to be considered UFOs, they should have what they call the 3 observables, right? We have here, they should, let's see, anti-gravity lift, sudden and instantaneous acceleration. But let's see, like if you see something that has sudden and instantaneous acceleration, that's more likely to be an unexplainable UFO event. And we can go here and add that. So let's go back to add a new question. Did you see sudden and instantaneous acceleration? If I say yes, that means it's a UFO, which is result B. If I say no, it's not a UFO. Boom. And I click submit. And now I just added another point of reference that it can be used to improve the quality of this test. I can take this test again. I can say yes, 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 yes. The last question that I just added is here. And I can say yes. So if I say yes, it's more likely to be a UFO. And I get my results. And in this case, it says it's not a UFO. Yes. Visible minus reproduction. Okay, so there is some kind of bug here because obviously, if the photos in sharp focus, the photos in color, the photos in high resolution, where multiple VSs, the photos, the only one that doesn't correlate is actually this one. Okay, so there is a bug somewhere, and I will have to figure out what the little bug is. Okay, but this again, because you can program everything, I would have to figure out where the bug is. And I'm going to show you just the last thing I want to show you, so this doesn't take too long, is where the logic resides, how I've created the logic that assigns an answer to a specific result. And if I go here to retake quiz, that all happens within a button. So one of the great things about Glide is that allows you to create specific logic associated to buttons. Right? So if I select one of these buttons, you can see here there is a button called Edit Action. And by default, you can select many different actions. So a button can do many things. It can change the database, it can send an email, it can ask people to sign in, it can trigger a webhook or a Zapier automation, it can send people to so there's a lot of things. But let's say that you want a button to perform multiple actions, not a single action. And this is where the magic of Glide comes in, where you can program really complex conditional logic and workflows that will trigger several actions at the same time. And in this case, when I click yes, multiple things have to happen, right? So let me just select this and click on Edit Action. And here's where you can see all the logic behind each button, right? So just to give you a little summary of what's going on here, when the action starts, which in this case somebody clicks a button, maybe see I can make this slightly bigger. Can you see this? Okay. Now I'm going to create a conditional, which is the first thing I want to check if if this user has already taken this quiz. If it hasn't, which in this case it's empty, and the current question is not the last question, because if it's the last question, I have to show them the results. You see? Now you have to think about all the logic. How many questions this quiz has? 5? Is this the last question? If it's the last question, then I should show them the results. If it's not the last question, I should just increase the counter to show that to make sure that then they're taking to the next question, not to their results. So that's what's happening within with this conditional. Then, so if they've never taken this quiz and they never answered this question, what I'm going to do is store the results of this answer. And I'm going to store it, of course, under, in this case, the sheet answers. I'm going to say that this answer belongs to this quiz, that the actual question is this question, that the user that answered this question is the logged in users, that there is a timestamp, which is the current data time, that the answer that they provided, because there's 5 possible answers, A, B, C, D, and E. In this case is A, because they clicked the button A. And that the correlation, I cannot scroll farther down, let me just make this smaller. That the correlation in this case is whatever correlation I selected when I created the quiz, which in this case is whatever is stored under this column. And finally here, the amount of points that count towards this specific answer, which by default is 1. Because another thing you could do is you could give weights. You could say that this answer has more importance than this other answer. And then you could say, instead of assigning a point, I could assign several points for people that answer this specific answer. Anyways, then I repeat this for people that have already taken this answer, and instead of creating a new entry, so let's say here all I'm doing is this. So when somebody clicks the button, I want to add a new record that the answer happened. As you can see, all the answers that have been recorded are already here. So every time somebody answers a question, for the first time, it creates a new record of that answer with the quiz ID, the question ID, the user ID, the answer that they give, and the correlation that I chose to. Okay, and then the amount of points that are awarded for selecting that answer, and then if there's any messages that are given based on their answer, right? Now, once they reach the last question, I should store the score or the results, which I do under this sheet. And here you can see all the people that have taken the quiz, how many attempts, and then I have here a summary of the results, right? So obviously, whichever has more points is the correct answer, right? So in the last, so whoever took the last test, which is me, the correlation to the result A, which was Thinkific, was the highest. That's why it has 6. And that means that's how you calculate the result. Now, all this logic, again, is created within custom actions that you can create inside a button, right? And how about when you have multiple correct options? Okay, yeah. So again, at the end, I have the same logic repeated, but this time I check if the current question is the total questions, which would tell me that's the last question. And if that happens, I store the answer. And then for the first time, I save the score under the scores sheet. Then I reset the counter of questions to 1. You don't see it here, but there is a question number here. Let me just make it smaller. Okay, now in this case, what I'm toggling the visibility of the results tab. Okay, and then I go to the results tab. So now once they finish the quiz, I take them to the results tab, and I show a notification: quiz completed, right? And then if none of these conditions are met, I give an error. Now this same logic is saved for every single button. So if I go to this button, you can see this has changed. And the same logic is here. Now there's something that I hope that Glides allows you to do soon, which is to not having to recreate the entire logic from scratch for each button, which in a sense you can, because all you have to do is duplicate any button and all the logic behind that button gets also duplicated. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to duplicate the button. You see I duplicated it. If I select it, it's going to say there's a copy of the button. And all the logic was carried along, right? And now I can personalize this for the actual logic of this button. But it'll be nice if you could actually save these kind of actions for future use, right? But you cannot do right now. I'm gonna do this. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of great stuff that it can be done with Glide. And that's it. An hour and 15 minutes, I think. Thank you for attending this class. Again, this masterclass has been recorded and it will be available in this same link. And let me just play with this. By the way, I'm using a new, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, I'm using a new streaming software that allows me to do really nice stuff. It comes with an app. This is so cool. Like, if you want to do live classes, these guys don't sponsor me. Actually, they do sponsor. They sponsor one of my videos for an app which is called Melo. But this is not the same app. It's a different app. You see this? This is how I can control which screen is shown in the live stream. So if I click here, look. You see that? My phone controls the stream. So I can program as many screens as I want to. I mean, how cool is that? All right. So the last thing that I would like you to do, if you want to try this app, you can do it here at this link. It's also available for purchase. If you want to own this assessment app, all you have to do is go to here. Let me just put that link. Where do I have the link for the app? The app, you can get it at https://grumo.com quiztron, right? Let me just see this. And this app is available for 50% off, so $24.50 until this Friday midnight Pacific time, and you can get it now right now by going to this link. And what is the name of the streaming app? Okay, that's a great question. It's called Streamlabs OBS Live, I think. Let me just type it here. Yeah, that one. The other one I was using is Melon, but this one is really cool. I'm liking it a lot better. It's more complex to use, just so be aware of it. But again, you have this separate app that allows you to do really cool stuff. Like I can make myself disappear. I can easily change. This is like a professional switchboard for cameras. So I could have multiple cameras and switch from one to the other, right? Okay, thanks for attending this class. And if you have any suggestions for other classes or other apps that you would like to learn how to build, actually, I don't even need my headphones because nobody's talking to me and my ears are getting hot. Then if you have any suggestions or questions, you can ask them in the comment section below. And based on your feedback, I'll be creating more of these apps. And again, I think Glide is a great tool for building custom apps. So if you want to get a copy of this app, you can do that at that link I just sent you, grumo.com/quiztron. Thanks for watching.